What's up, Fantasy Champions? Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old line. Car insurance cost an arm and a...
What is going on, Raider Nation? What is going on? It is your boy Darian coming to you live with another video. It is the Spotlight Raiders Talk. Shout out to all the subscribers that subscribe to the YouTube page. And this is your first time ever being at our YouTube page, I would suggest that you subscribe and hit the bell button to get the latest news in all Raiders news. But before we get into this video, I do want to let everyone know that I will be going live at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to do the Buccaneers versus Raiders game preview and all the Raiders news that's been going on in this past week. But in this video, this is a different video for us here, and this is our 5 players, according to Just Blog Baby and myself, 5 players that the Raiders should trade for in the trading deadline. And it's definitely a lot of veterans that's in these 5 players that I have to say, because of the fact that the Raiders really need help as far as veteran presence on the offense and the defensive side of the ball, especially at the number 1 receiver position, knowing that Tyrell Williams is definitely out for the rest of the season with a shoulder injury. But let's definitely get into what we have to talk about here to get ready for the trade deadline. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders have the talented to make a serious playoff run this season. Here are some of the trades that you should try to pull off to improve this team. Now, this is according to justblogbaby.com. At the end of the day, justblogbaby.com, thank you for the article, and I'm going to recite this article to the Raider Nation as well, but I really hope that everybody liked this article as well. Now, as the trade deadline approaches, the Las Vegas Raiders could be looking to make some moves that can take their team to the next level, but the players who will be available? The Raiders looked impressive in the first 5 games of the season, but there has been some glaring holes on both sides of the ball that could look to address before the trade deadline. The Las Vegas Raiders have a young and growing team right now, so adding some veteran presence to the team could be a fast track to the team's growth. Now, on the other hand, there are some surprising young talents that we could shop before the trade deadline, but the Raiders should throw their name in the hat to potentially take these players in. With the trade deadline looming on November 3rd, a lot of things could happen before then, and the Raiders could be a player in some of it. So let's take a look at the 5 potential trade targets for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the first one that we do have on our list here, the first person that we have on our list is definitely at the wide receiver position. Now, I have to say the first person that we have on our list is Julio Jones. Now, Julio Jones has shown that he can still be a top wide receiver in the NFL, but he is in a bad situation in Atlanta, and there has been a bit nagging hamstring injury right now that's been holding him back. Now, the Falcons are struggling to win games right now and will like to make sense for them to try to add draft picks by moving on from Julio Jones. With Julio Jones being 31 years old, he is not worth a first-round pick anymore, but it's hard to see the Falcons moving on from him for anything less than at least a second-round pick. Jones will be able to take this offense to the next level, watching Derek Carr dominate defenses with Nelson Aguilar and Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow. It is impressive, but Ruggs has not been on the field and offense has struggled at times. If the Raiders had Julio Jones, the offense could thrive if Ruggs is not in the game, and could be the best passing game in the NFL when Julio Jones and Ruggs are both on the field. As good as the Raiders offense is looking, at some point the defenses are going to be able to stop Aguilar and focus on Ruggs. So what the Raiders will need to add another piece to the group to reach full potential. I love this trade right here because the trade bargain that they do have him for is a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick, and the Raiders get Julio Jones to give up a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick. It's possible. I'm just nervous about Julio Jones because of the fact that Julio Jones is 31. He's still considered one of the top receivers in the league. He did have a good game last week. I'm not going to say anything about that, but he did have a great game last week. And I love the fact that he still can play, but the hamstring injury, the injury is killing us right now when it comes to Julio Jones. So I'll say try to go for this, or try to go for a more bargain wide receiver, which would be in the next topic here, which would be the next person that we have on our list. And that next person that we do have on our list is Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver AJ Green. Now, if the Raiders do not want to give up too much for a solid veteran receiver, they could look into AJ Green. At 32 years old, there have been rumors that the last few months about Green being traded out of Cincinnati, and he will be a soft landing spot with the young Raiders wide receiver group. Green still has potential to be a top tier NFL wide receiver, but he is not getting the amount of targets that we would like to see in Cincinnati. He is too old to be part of a rebuilding team, and the Bengals have Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins at the position. So they are definitely in the middle of the youth movement with the Cincinnati Bengals. If Green were to get sent out of Cincinnati, it should not cost all that much. Green only has recorded 14 receptions on 119 yards and no touchdowns, but he has shown flashes that he still has the ability to be a big-time playmaker in the NFL. Something that the Raiders could use. Nelson Aguilar was a high-risk, low-reward signing, and Green could be the same thing in this trade scenario. I could not agree with it anymore. You see, a change of scenery might mean something to AJ Green. You see what it does for Nelson Aguilar when you have a change of scenery. I know that he's 32. I know that he's been nicked up, but he could come in and help these young receivers be better in helping them out and teaching them as a veteran. Same thing for Julio Jones. I know both of these guys are good, but if I want to go with a bargain receiver that has been a top tier receiver before in this league, I would go with AJ Green because of the fact that we're not giving up much like we would have did if we would have did for Julio Jones. Now, AJ Green, we will get him in a trade and only give up a 5th round pick for him. I think that's a bargain for me. I do like that. Just another injury prone wide receiver on our end. So, I mean, I like both of these, but I just want to see how they are healthy before we make these trades. All right, so the next player that we really want to get into, now we're going to go to the defensive side of the ball because that's where we really need most of the help is on the defensive side. And I spoke his name before, and that is New York Jets Quintin Williams. At 22 years old and a ton of potential, it does not make sense for the Jets to deal Quintin Williams, but there has been rumors over the last week that the Jets were shopping him. Williams was drafted 3rd overall in the 2019 pick, 1 pick before Clelin Ferrell, but has not had a huge impact since landing in New York. On the stat sheet, Williams does not blow anyone away with just 52 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 8 QB hits. But when you watch the film, you see the impact that he has on the New York Jets defensive line. It is clear why he was selected so early. Coming to Vegas, he will learn under an elite position coach under Rob Molinari, helping get his career back on track. The Raiders could use a solid defensive tackle in the middle of the line and take the spot that Malik Collins was supposed to fill. With this trade, Williams would be surrounded with a lot more young talent than he was in New York, and should help him reach a full potential, similar to the Steelers' Minkah Fitzpatrick situation last season. I have to agree with this. I still think that we should go after Quintin Williams. Malik Collins is not panning out, and then, Carl Nassib has the broken toe, and our defensive line is coming back, knowing that Maurice Hurst is coming back off of the COVID-19 /reserve list. But at the end of the day, I still feel like this guy is dominant. He could be dominant. I just think he's on a bad New York Jets football team. I just think he's on a bad team where he can't see his potential. The guy is only 22 years old. He's young. Put him with the rest of these young defensive linemen. Why not? You have your number 3 and your number 4 overall pick, which is Quintin Williams and Clelin Ferrell on the same line with a Max Crosby that all came out in that year. I say trade for him and go get him for a 2nd round pick. I say that. I say go get him. That's just me. He's still young. He still have a few years on him. And why not? Take a risk on a younger guy. So I definitely take that as well. So the 4th player that we have on our actual list of the 5 players that we should trade, the 4th person is really different. It's really different for me. We had not talked about this guy, but this is a very interesting person here. And that is Washington's football team, Ryan Kerrigan. Now, another veteran player the Raiders could attempt to make a move for, and that's Washington's pass rusher, Ryan Kerrigan. Although Kerrigan is a downside of his career, but he's still shown that he have a lot of gas in the tank and could be a massive addition to the pass rush for the Raiders, who mostly lack a solid pass rush this season. At 32 years old, Kerrigan should not cost much for the Raiders to get, especially considering Washington is rebuilding their team and may be trading more than just Kerrigan before the trade deadline. Head coach Ron Rivera is trying to shake things up in DC, and moving on from Kerrigan makes sense along rebuilding the defensive line. Combining Kerrigan with Max Crosby, Farrell, and Maurice Hurst with Kerrigan could become a deadly pass rush once they all get on the same page, and surely be worth a late round pick despite Kerrigan's age. There is still some left in the tank when it comes to Ryan Kerrigan, and Marinelli will be able to get the most out of him. Listen, I can say this. Anybody that's a great pass rusher, go get. Because we're getting to the quarterback, but we're not turning those into sacks or tackles for loss. We're doing it in the run game, but we're not really doing it when it tries to get a pass rusher to the quarterback. So giving up a 5th round pick for Ryan Kerrigan, I take it. It's a high risk, low reward, just like AJ Green. But Kerrigan really don't have any injury like that. He's just on a young team that's ready to move on, and I think that we should go out and get him. So Ryan Kerrigan, let's go. Bring yourself to the Raiders, man. In the home run hitter, the 5th person the Raiders should trade for. Now, this person, I don't see this realistically happen. In my personal opinion, I don't see this team actually giving up their top player in a trade because of how bad, not bad, but how okay that their team are. And the 5th person that we have on this list is Stephon Gilmore from the New England Patriots. Now, although this is by far the most unlikely trade on this list, but the Patriots did shop Stephon Gilmore in this offseason at 2-3, and the team may be looking to make some changes to benefit them in the future. Gilmore may be the best cornerback in the NFL, but a trade to get the Patriots a lot draft capital and save them a ton of cap space as Belichick looks to continue to revamp this roster. The Raiders, on the other hand, could completely turn this defense around with this trade. Although they have Trayvon Mullen and Damon Arnett, Gilmore is a player that is most impossible to pass up on. The team will have to make some changes to get more cap space, but this trade is not possible to make. But it will cost Las Vegas 2 top draft picks. I have to agree, this is a very risky draft, not even draft pick, but trade, because of the fact that we're giving up a 1st round and a 2nd round for him. I understand he's the best corner in the league. I understand that he wants his money. I don't think the Raiders have the money to keep him if we do trade him for the rest of the year. I don't think the Raiders have that money because players are going to have to get played, like Josh Jacobs and Max Crosby, and they're going into their third and 4th years, and they want to get paid, especially if they are successful this year. So, and you got to look at free agency for next year, the draft picks. How much draft capital do the Raiders have? Not much. So with that being said, I would love to get Stephon Gilmore, but at the same time, I don't see it realistically happening. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. There are the 5 players the Raiders should trade for. And I have to say, shout out to justblogbaby.com for this article, because I really agree with this article because I read it before I actually did the video. So I actually do agree with everything they said in this article. And shout out to justblogbaby.com for this article here. So let me know what you think about this video, Raider Nation. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. It's the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and I will see y'all at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Las Vegas Raiders live podcast show to do a preview of that game for tomorrow's game at 4:05 Eastern Standard Time. See y'all at 6 o'clock. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that O-line. Car insurance cost the all.